Hi, everybody. Okay, so I just said if you have a Tanakh, if you could get one, because for some reason that I can't share my screen on the computer because it's not my meeting room. So if you have one, run and get one quickly. If not, I'll just translate everything and try and do it as, to the best of my ability. Okay. All right. So, this is kind of like a thematic class. Gracie and Amy and Rebecca came to the first one. We've been talking about family relationships in the Torah and what the Torah tells us about those relationships and what we can learn from them. So, is there background noise from me, or you could hear me well? You don't hear the TV? Okay, good. Okay, so the first week we spoke about Cain and Hebel, and we spoke about Yaakov and Esav. Gracie or Rebecca, you wanna like fill everybody in on what we said about those relationships, what we learned about them?
They are brothers and they are
Okay.
different.
Yeah, so we definitely spoke about how when people are different, it kind of causes them to feel differently towards one another and they develop differently. And sometimes there's tension because you're different. We even
And
looked at our
jealousy.
relationships and our own families. So we said the differences is a big thing. What else did we say about those relationships? What else causes sometimes problems between siblings? Gracie disappeared. Amy, you remember what we spoke about last week? We also looked at the story of Yosef last week.
Bad parenting.
Yeah, definitely. So if you look at this, hold on. Okay, Joe, you have to be quiet now, okay? If you look at the story of Yaakov and Esav, we spoke about how the parents, if you remember the story, the parents each have a favorite, right? What they favor one over the other, which causes a lot of problems between the brothers. And also with Yosef, Yaakov basically singles him out and he gives him the Ketonat Pasim, and the brothers all know that he loves him the most, and they can't handle that, right? Amy and Greasy, what else did we say about the brothers when they find out how much Yaakov loves Yosef? How does it make them feel towards him?
Jealous.
Yeah, Rebecca, you weren't even there and you got it. Okay, Joe, you can't talk to me now because I'm giving a class. Okay, just. Here.
Yeah, it is Joe.
Watch on. You can use the iPhone. Okay. No, I can't. I can't talk to you. I told you. I need to do the Zoom. Do your best. I'm gonna help you in Zoom. Okay, go to Zoom. Okay, so we spoke about the jealousy factor. And the jealousy factor also came in with Cain and Hevel. Cain was jealous that Hevel's korban got taken by God. And we spoke about how Yaakov and Esav, there was also a jealousy factor when Yaakov gets the blessing, even though he did it in a very wrong way. He thought he was doing the right thing for the nation to continue the bidi and to give that to his children and everything. But Esav was clearly jealous and angry, and he wanted to kill him. Cain wanted to kill Hebel, and he did that. And same thing with Yosef's brothers, right? They essentially wanted to murder him. They plot to kill him. So that's just a little sum up very quickly. Today, I want to finish the sibling relationships with the story of Moshe and his siblings. And then I want to move on to talking about husband and wife relationships. We'll start that theme tonight. Okay? So if you have a Tanakh, if you can open up to Shemot, use my Tanakh here too. We are in right now. Okay, we're in Perek Bet, Pasuk Hey. Okay, so you can open that up. If you think of Moshe and his siblings, like what comes to mind without even looking at the text yet? How do you usually think about that relationship?
They are not jealous. Well, only Miriam is, but the rest.
Why is she jealous of him?
Because she, I don't know, she's.
I'm saying, which story are you thinking of?
Oh, when she says Lashon Hara, how he wasn't supposed to get it.
Okay, definitely. So the story leads, that's the story we're going to be looking at in depth. What else do you think of when you think of their relationship? What other stories or what else does the Torah tell us about them?
Aharon is humble.
Okay. Gracie, what were you going
Someone is humble. I don't know.
Also, when Miriam was like watching Moshe, like you would think she wouldn't say Lashon Hara when she was older.
Yeah, definitely. That's where we're going to start looking today, right? We're in Egypt, and Paro makes this decree that they have to kill all the baby boys, right? Throw them in the water, and then too. And it says this woman has a baby, and she wants to so she puts him in the basket, and now that's when we're going to start reading. Okay. So it says, actually, we're actually going to start from Pasuk Gimel. Okay. ולא יכלה עוד הקרינו ותיקח לו תיבת גומר ותחמרה בחמר ובזפת ותשם בה את הילד ותשם בסוף על שפת היאור. So she puts him in the ark with all these different materials, and she puts him into the Nile. ותצב אחותו מרחוק לדעה מה יעשה לו, and his sister puts herself from afar to watch him and to see what's going to happen to him. ותרד בת פרעה לרחוץ על היאור, ונערותה הולכות על יד היאור. And בת פרעה goes to wash by the Nile, and her maidens are next to her. ותראה את התיבה בתוך הסוף, ותשלח את אמתה ותיקחיה. And she sees the basket in the Nile, and she sends her maid servant to go see what's that basket. ותפתח ותראהו את הילד, והנה נער בוחש. They open it up, and they see a baby crying. And they look inside, and she sees it's a child, a boy, he's crying, and she goes, oh my gosh, this must be one of the Hebrew babies, right? Why would she assume it's a Hebrew baby?
Didn't it have like a blanket that they used, or maybe that's just in the movie?
That's not what the text is telling us, but think about it. What's going on in the story? Why would she assume it's a Jewish baby?
Because he's in the water.
Exactly. She said it had to be a mother trying to protect her child. And then what happens? And get you a Hebrew nurse, a Jewish nurse, to nurse the baby for you. And she can go nurse the baby for you. And she goes and she brings back the child's mother. She says, okay, take the child and nurse it for me, and I'm going to pay you for it. Okay, so this is the first instance that we have that we're seeing the relationship between Moshe and his sister. And what do we see here? What's happening in this specific scene? What's happening? What's she doing? What's the sister doing? Anybody? Tisha, what is the text telling us?
She's watching him to make sure he doesn't like drown and stuff, and to see what happens.
Exactly. She's his sister. She cares about him. Imagine you have a little baby brother who was put on the Nile River, right? You want to protect them. She has this instinct, this maternal instinct, or this familial instinct to watch over him and to make sure that he's okay, right? And so that's the first time we see them interacting. There are other times that we see them come up, also other siblings. Where do we see Aharon come up? Where's the first time we see him?
When they're at the burning bush and he's like, I can't do it. And then he's like, yeah, your brother Aharon will help you.
Exactly. So Moshe tells God so many times, this job is not for me. I can't do it. Choose somebody else, right? How many excuses does he give? A million. And God gives him signs, and it doesn't matter. He doesn't feel confident in the job. And Rebecca, I think this is also coming back to what you were saying, that he's a very humble person, and he's not confident in himself. He doesn't think that this is the job for him. Again, this is the biggest job. He's going to free the Jews from Egypt and help them develop into a nation. And finally, God says, fine, you don't have to speak. I'm going to give you your brother, who's going to be your mouth for you, basically. And whenever he goes to Paro to do another makah, Aharon is with him, right? He's kind of like his rock in a way. He's next to him. He's supporting him. And Moshe can really lean on him in a specific time where he didn't feel confident and he was very insecure in himself. Okay.
So then why didn't Aharon just become the leader?
It's a good question. Well, God chose Moshe. He knew he was the right person to do it. But Moshe doesn't think that. Again, one of the things that you need to have as a leader is the sense of humbleness. You shouldn't want that power. Usually, the people who are the best leaders are the ones who have the leadership qualities, but they're not power hungry at all, right? If we look at the story of Korah, he was definitely a good leader. We see how he was able to gather the people and rally them, right? How many people does he come with? 300 men, right? And they all come up to Moshe. He was a good leader, but he didn't use his leadership in the right way. Moshe he was a good leader. He just didn't think it was the job for him. And God comes to him and says, you're my guy. You're the one I want. Sometimes, Rebecca, we're thrust into positions that we're not necessarily ready for, and we have to embrace them and do the best that we can. Okay? But Aharon was also a very big leader for the Jewish people. He becomes the Kohen Gadol. He has tons of responsibility, and we do see him act in very admirable ways, like when his sons die and he's devastated, but he has to continue on with his job, right, as the religious leader of the people. Okay, so definitely we see Aharon helping Moshe throughout their task to free the Jews from Egypt. And then what I want us to look at together is the scene we are in Bemidbar, Perek Yudbet, if you can forward, if you have your Tanach with you. And this is the scene that a lot of you were talking about. So again, the sibling relationships that we saw in Bereshit were very toxic, right? Yosef and his brothers, Yaakov and his brother, even not only Yosef and his brothers, the brothers themselves have a lot of issues. They come from different mothers. There's a lot of tension between them. Cain and Havel, that same tension. And now in Shemot, it starts off on a positive note that Moshe can rely on his siblings. And then we have this story here about his siblings who are going to come and not say such nice things about him. Okay? So here we go. Everybody, do anyone have a Tanakh, or am I reading it out loud? Thumbs up for a Tanakh? Okay, fine. All right, so if you don't have one, don't worry. I'm reading and translating. Okay, here we go. ותדבר מרים ואהרון ומשה על אודות האישה הכושית אשר לקח, כי אישה כושית לקח. So the opening to the story is very complicated. There are a lot of commentators who say different things about what it means. We're kind of going to put it on the side for now, and we'll come back to what it means after. But it basically says Miriam and Aharon are talking about Moshe because he married Ha'isha HaKushit. Something about someone who he married, this Kushit woman. They say she's like a darker woman maybe, right, of dark skin. A lot of commentators say that she was black maybe. And now let's see what they actually say though. Okay? ויאמרו, הרק אך במשה דיבר אדוני, הלא גם בנו דיבר וישמע אדוני. So they're talking to each other and they say, does God only talk to Moshe? He only talks to him? God also talks to us. And Hashem listens. Oh, hi, Debbie. Okay, so what's the problem with this, with what they say already? Amy.
They have different levels of connection.
Okay. Louise, what were you going to say?
I was going to say that.
Same thing. Yeah, so they're definitely attacking Moshe about his level of prophetic ability. And Miriam is saying, and Aharon, Moshe thinks he's like the number one guy. God only talks to him. God also talks to us, right? So what's at the root of this sentence? What do you think they're feeling to make them want to say this?
Jealousy.
Jealousy, right? It's coming back to that same thing. What else besides, what are they jealous about, Debbie?
His connection. Sorry.
I think that they're also jealous that like he's the only one that gets like the strongest connection, and he's the one that's like I think they think that they're like downgraded compared to him because they're the ones that are like getting the message and they're not the ones that are telling it, and they're just like, oh well, we could be as good as him. You're just not giving us the chance. Like they're just jealous, basically.
For sure. And it's also this, building on what you're both saying, they're power hungry, right? They want to be just as powerful as him. They want to have the same leadership qualities and the same leadership abilities as him. Rebecca, what were you gonna say?
Also, that he's the youngest and he's like the most powerful,
Yeah,
probably.
very interesting. Could definitely be back to this, the older kids versus the younger kids. Um, the Bechora aspect that we keep talking about, right, with the Yaakov and Esab story and the Yosef story, and the older kids sometimes feel like they have more rights than the younger ones, and that they deserve to get more from the parents, whether that's monetarily or inheritance wise, or that they are supposed to be the ones who control more or who have more leadership because they were born into that position. Gracie, yeah.
I also think that like most of them are younger, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
definitely. Yosef
And
was one of the youngest. Hevel was younger. Yaakov was younger. Yeah.
so I feel like it's because like the youngers are like I feel like they're more mature because like they should be following their older siblings, but like I feel like I don't know, they just seem more mature than
I feel like they're
like
more humble
Yeah,
because
definitely.
they're
yeah,
not expecting it and then they like do it better because
yeah.
they're not hungry for it, so they're doing a better job as the job would.
Very interesting point. I
Like
also
more
want to mention
naive,
that we
I
have to
guess.
keep reminding ourselves that the Torah is written at a time where there were many practices in the ancient world that were prevalent that the Torah is trying to kind of um, change in a way. And what usually happened in the ancient world, we discussed this in previous classes, was that the eldest son would get double the amount of inheritance when the father died, and he would be the one to support the family. And so the Torah is coming here and telling us that it doesn't work that way, right? Like all of your kids are equal, and they all have different. They can all have responsibilities, and it's turning that idea on its head, which is interesting that it's picking all of these younger siblings to take leadership roles. Debbie.
Also, usually in the Torah, Hashem wants to give back to people that have less. Like like I forgot what it was, but like he gave to like the Aniyim and everything. And I think Hashem wants to like tell the youngest that they're not like just like they're not downgraded. So I think he's showing them that they could have power too, and not just because they're the youngest doesn't mean because also the oldest get a lot like special treatment. Like
That's it. No, that's exactly the point. The Torah is saying there's no such thing as special treatment because you're the oldest. That doesn't exist, right? You're supposed to treat all your kids the same way. You're supposed to love them the same. You're supposed to treat them equally. Just because you're born as an eldest doesn't mean that you're deserving of more. Exactly what you said.
Yeah,
Okay.
why does that have to do with anything? Like they don't get to pick that they're born first.
That was just an ancient practice. That's what they would do. If you
it's
were the
like
if you
because
were born
everyone's
first,
like, oh, respect your elders. It's like that kind of.
yeah, kind of. Or it was just you were the eldest, so you had certain responsibilities. That's just how it went. And the Torah is saying those responsibilities that you're used to, it doesn't exist here. We're not going by that. We're changing things. Okay. So let's see what happens. Now they make this statement that God speaks to them just like He speaks to Moshe, and it says God hears. Okay, and I want you to kind of picture that God in a way when we talk about we can describe God in many ways, right? We're obviously never going to be able to describe him because we can't understand him. And when the Torah describes God, it describes him using metaphors or as a person because that's the only way we can really understand him, right? It'll say God gets angry. Does God actually get angry? No, he's not a person. He doesn't have emotions. So I want you to picture God here as like a father who can't believe that his kids are talking this way about his other child. Okay? So right after it says the statement, it says, V'ha'ish Moshe anav me'od mikol ha'adam asher al panei ha'adamah. It says Moshe is the most humble man more than any person in the entire world, on the entire earth, right? It's prefacing this whole story by saying they're talking about the guy that he's the most humble person in the whole world. He never wanted this job. He doesn't see himself as an amazing person. He doesn't think he's unbelievable because God talks to him. There are stories where he says, I wish everybody could be a prophet. I wish everybody could share my job. I don't want this job, right? He always says it. And the Torah is telling us at this moment when his sister is and his brother are saying, look, he thinks he's the best, we could do it too. That he doesn't think that about himself. He is literally the most humble person in the world. And then it says, ויאמר אדוני פתאום אל משה ואל אהרון ואל מרים, צאו שלושתכם אל אוהל מועד. It says, you three, get out of the tent, get out of the Mishkan. Right? Like think about again, a father, like think about when you and your siblings do something wrong, right? And your parents like call you like, get out of here. Yeah, all three of you, get in front of me. Right? That's kind of the image that we're seeing here. The three of them come outside. וירד אדוני בעמוד ענן, ויעמוד פתח האוהל, ויקרא אהרון ומרים, ויצאו שניהם. So it says they all came outside, and God comes down in this cloud, right? And he stops at the entrance of the Mishkan, and he tells Aharon and Miriam, you two come out here. And they come out. ויאמר, שמעו נא דברי. Listen to what I have to say. אם יהיה נביאכם אדוני במראה אליו, אתוודע בחלום אדבר בו. He says, hear these words. When a prophet of God, when a prophet that I speak to comes among you, I speak to him in a vision. I speak to him in a dream, right? That's how I present myself to him. Lo ken avdi Moshe, b'chol beti ne'amanu. Not, but then he says, not with Moshe. That's not what I do with Moshe. He's the most trustworthy person in my entire he says the word household, but in the entire group of people who are allowed into my world. It's not the same with him. Pe el pe adaber bo, umar'e velo bechidot utmunat Adonai yabit. And he says, with him, I speak to him mouth to mouth, plainly. I don't talk to him in riddles and dreams and other stuff like that. Umadua lo yiretem udaber ba'avdi Moshe. How in the world did you not shrink, or how are you not afraid to speak this way about Moshe, right? This person who's so close to me. And it says God was so angry with them, and then he leaves. Okay? So he comes down right away to rebuke them and say, how dare you think that you are on the same level as Moshe? You will never come close to the level that he is on. He's the closest thing to me. I speak to him differently than you. I have a different relationship with him than I have with you. And I can't even believe you had the audacity to speak this way about him. Okay, and he leaves. והענן שר מעל האוהל, והנה מרים מצורעת כשלג, ויתן אהרון אל מרים, והנה מצורעת. And as God is leaving in this cloud away from the Mishkan, Miriam gets sara'at. 1 second, Gracie. And when Aharon turns around and sees Miriam, he sees that she has sara'at. Yes, Gracie.
Okay. So you know how you said like how we're all Hashem's children,
Yeah.
and like that we all like there's no favorites and we shouldn't favor our children, but technically, how you explained it, you said that we have a different relationship, like better relationship. So shouldn't that like go against what he's trying to say?
I'm not going to say that he has a better relationship. It's a different relationship, right? Aharon has his own responsibilities, and Miriam has her own responsibilities, and Moshe has his own responsibilities. God didn't choose Aharon or Miriam for this job. He chose Moshe. And that's okay. Not everybody is going to be a prophet in the whole world, right? Not everybody is a Navi. There are certain people who are chosen for that job. And Aharon and Miriam to go behind Moshe's back and to talk about him in a disgusting way was the wrong thing. And God is letting them know what you did is not okay. And you were wrong about it. You're not on the same level as him. The fact that they even spoke about him shows that they were not on the same level as him, right? Moshe would never
Yeah.
do something like this. He would never talk bad about his siblings, right? He would never compare himself to them and try and put them down to make himself feel better, right? That's why the text says he's the most modest and humble person that ever walked the earth. There's a reason that he had this job. Any other comments or questions? Okay. ויאמר אהרון אל משה, בי אדוני, אנא תשת עלינו, חטאת אשר נוענו ואשר חטאנו. So Aharon goes to Moshe and he says, hold on, I'm going to read you the translation exactly in English. Bi Adoni, like my Lord, he's calling Moshe now. Don't let this sin that we did, like don't look at the sin that we did. Don't let it like overpower everything that we did or everything that we do. Don't let us be like a baby who's born from his mother's womb, but half his flesh is eaten away. Okay? Like, don't let us be incomplete like this. Don't let her, she's covered in sara'ah. We need to be unified. We need to be one. Don't let this happen to us. Okay? And Moshe el Adonai le'emor el narefana la. And right away Moshe turns to God. And what does he do? He prays for her. Right? What does that show us about him? Yeah, Gracie.
I was thinking of this before, but like what was I gonna say? Shoot. Like even like if I was him and someone like one of my siblings said something like that, I would probably not pray for them. Like it's being more humble.
Exactly.
Like not
No, he
like
loves his sister. He loves his sister so much, and he was able to say, okay, it doesn't matter. In this specific moment, it's not important. I'm going to pray for her. I'm going to do what I have to do to save her and to get her out of this position, right? He was the bigger person here. ויאמר אדוני אל משה, ואבי הירוק ירק לפניה, הלא תכלם 7 ימים, תסגר 7 ימים מחוץ למחנה, ואחר תעשה. And God kind of tells Moshe, if her father spat in her face, wouldn't she show her shame? Like, let's say she did something so bad and her father spat in her face and wanted her to feel shameful for what she did. Wouldn't you send her out of the Mahaneh for 7 days to think about what she did and to let everyone know she did a horrible thing? Because again, I want you to think back to that image of God being like a father figure, right? And he's yelling at Miriam for what she did here. He says she needs to be punished. You can't just let her get away with it. And so he says, let her go out of the Mahaneh for 7 days. And after those 7 days, when the Sara'ah goes away, she can come back into the Mahaneh. But he wanted her to feel that she did something wrong. God was not okay letting her get away with it and fixing it on the spot. Okay?
My dad said that it did go away, but she still had to stay out of the Machane, even though that the Sara'ah was gone.
Say it again.
My dad said that the Sara'ah went away, but she had to stay out or something like that.
So the text doesn't tell it that to us right away. It says he prays for her, and then God says let her be out for 7 days, and then let her come back in. It doesn't say that it was cured right away, but it's possible that it was because he prayed for her. But God still wants her to feel excluded in some way and to feel that shame for what she did. And I think this also speaks to, I think God acting as a parent here speaks to what a parent is supposed to do in moments like these, because we've been looking also at the parent-child relationship throughout these other stories and how there were a lot of problems, right? Like with Yaakov and Esav, the lack of interference of the parents in those stories caused problems, and also with the Yosef and his brothers, right? Yaakov was not involved. He didn't even understand what was going on, how the brothers hated Yosef and how they didn't even want to talk to him. He even let Yosef go see how the brothers were doing, right? He didn't realize that they were on terrible terms. God is saying here, when someone does something wrong, you have to rebuke them, okay? You have to show them that what they did is wrong so that they can learn and we can become better for it. Okay? Okay, any comments? Anything else anyone wants to say before we move on to the next theme? Naomi, anything? No? Okay. All right, so I think we'll probably do some more parent-child stuff because we've been talking about it. It comes up in every story. But now we'll move on to husband and wife. Okay? So when you think of the Torah, what do you think the Torah's perspective is on a husband and a wife? Think of any stories that come to mind. Anything that you
That
love.
good parenting is everything.
Good parenting is everything. Okay. What else? What about the relationship between a husband and his wife?
Wait, what was the question?
What do you think the Torah's perspective is on the relationship between a husband and his wife, or a wife and her husband? Yeah.
Shouldn't be abusive.
Sometimes I think it states that the men are in like a higher state than the women.
Okay. Why do you think that? Like, what gives you that impression?
Because in the Torah, a lot of times it says that the women will like stay home and watch the children, and the men will go out and like, you know.
Okay. Other ideas? Amy, I heard you starting to talk.
It shouldn't be like an abusive relationship. And
What do you mean by what do you mean by that?
like they should both be like treated equally, like not like equally in the sense of like whatever, because like back then whatever, but like they should have equal importance in the family.
Okay. Anyone else want to say anything? Debbie again.
What about what I said before? It was they do that about like the jobs and everything, but when it comes to actual parenting, I think that they have a pretty much like equal amount of job because and like like an equal amount of respect because in the Torah when it said when it said like the mitzvah and everything, it didn't only say like you have to respect your father. It said you have to respect your parents. It didn't like give one like gender a higher state than the other one.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to start off right now in Bereshit. We're back to the beginning. Okay, we're in Perek Bet, and we are looking at Pasuk Kaf Gimel, right? This is at basically at creation, after man is created. Actually, before that, we're going to go to Pasuk Yud Het, 18, in Perek Bet. Okay, so Adam is basically living on his own, and it's describing what Gan Eden looks like, and there are all these other animals around, and he puts Adam in Gan Eden, and then it says in Pasuk Yud Het, "Vayomer Adonai Elohim, lo tov hiyot ha'adam levado, e'aseh lo ezed kenegdo." It's not good for a man to be alone. I'm gonna make him a helper, okay, a helper alongside him. So already the Torah is kind of letting us know that we shouldn't be alone as human beings, right? It's natural for us to want to find someone to be with and to live with and to share with and to be together. And then, okay, I'm going to scroll down to Pasuk Hafimel, and then it says, he creates the woman for Adam, right? And he takes one of his ribs and basically he brings it says "V'yiben Adonai Elohim et hasela asher lakach min ha'adam li'isha v'yivi'eha el ha'adam." He brings the woman to Adam, and okay, and then it says "V'yomer ha'adam." The Adam says, "Zot ha'pa'am etzem me'asamai u'basar mibisari lezot yikre isha ki mi'ish lukaha zot." So he says, "She came from my bones, and her flesh is my flesh." And so I'm going to call her Isha because she was taken from the Ish, right? That's why we call woman Isha, because she is from the Ish. But I also think it's interesting that the woman comes from the man, right? It gives us this impression that, again, we're meant to be bound together in a way. right? And then the next pasuk is so important. Al ken yi'azav ish et aviv ve'et imo, v'dabak be'ishto, v'hayu levasar echad. This is actually one of my favorite pasukim in like the whole Torah. And it says, and so a man is supposed to leave his father and his mother, and v'davak be'ishto, and cling to his wife. Davak, like glue, right? To glue something. V'hayu levasar echad, and they're supposed to become like one flesh. What do you make of that? Thoughts? Somebody? Greasy?
I feel like, I mean, it feels normal, but at the same time, I feel like the words are very dramatic.
Well, you know what? It feels normal to us because we live in 2020. I keep telling you, we have to keep putting into perspective that the Torah was written in a time where the things that are so normal to us were not normal at all. Normally, what would have happened in the ancient world, like for people who would have been reading this, is that a man would bring the woman from her house and she would live with him. She would leave everything and start a life with him because usually everything went by the man. And the Torah flips that totally on its head and says that a man, instead, he's going to leave his father and his mother. And what is he going to do? He's going to cling to his wife. They're going to become like one. Okay? So that was a very radical statement to say in the ancient world. Yeah, Debbie.
I kind of like get that because once you get married, you're supposed to like be more open to what your partner has to say because you're going to like be with them for like a long time, and always if you're gonna be like, living with them, you have to be open-minded and like know what they're gonna say, and you have to kind of become
And you're going to be parents together and you're going to be partners together, right? You know, it's funny. My mother and my father, they both give marriage classes before someone gets married. And they also do like a communications workshop. But my father doesn't do it. My mother does it with my grandma. And because sometimes like you don't really know what's going to be when you get married and how to deal with everything and how do you talk to each other and stuff like that. And one of the things that my grandma always says is that whenever something's going on with you and your husband or you and your partner, whenever something's going on, you always want to make sure that you show that you're a unified front. Like you want to show in front of other people that you are together and you stand by each other, even if you hate each other's guts in that moment and you're fighting and you want to kill them. When you're together, you don't side with your father or your mother over taking your wife's side and embarrassing her or something like that. You always stand together and you always show that you're one. And I feel like that always goes back to this pasuk that you leave your father and your mother. You're supposed to separate yourself from them for a little bit in order to be with your husband and your wife and to grow together because you're going to become eventually your own family unit, right? Okay. I actually think we're going to stop here. We definitely don't have enough time to get into the next story that I wanted to talk about, which is going to be Abraham and Sarah. I guess we'll talk about that next week because that is the first relationship that we really see. Adam and Hava, you don't really see much of the relationship between them. It's more about them learning about free will and stuff like that and the sin that they made in Gan Eden, and so I'm not going to start there. Any last comments before we end off here? Anything you want to talk about in future weeks? I hope you're all going to come back. Louise is like, maybe? Yeah, Debbie.
Is it always on Zoom?
Yeah, so it's on my porch, but I also always have the computer on Zoom. So if you can't make it, you could just log in.
Same ID?
Yeah, same ID. Okay. All right. I'm glad everyone came on. I feel like this was a nice class. And I hope the takeaway here is, when you're arguing with your siblings and things get tense, just remember you love each other. Rebecca's like, no way. No way! They're so annoying.
Only Eli and Hannah.
Oh my God.
I don't really
Only the
argue
two
with
that I live
siblings anymore.
with,
They're too old.
Girls, while you're all here, I also want to do a book talk one night if anyone's interested. Talk about what we've been reading, give some recommendations to each other. Rebecca, why? What's your problem?
I don't like reading.
I love reading.
Who said that? Naomi? Awesome.
I knew that.
The choir. I'm a big reader. You could ask all my students here how much I love reading. So maybe we'll do hopefully we'll do a book talk with more Sarah also, just to throw out some new books if anyone needs some new reading material. I've been reading a fantastic series. I told Amy.
My book was too long.
Your book was which one? The Tale of.
My book was so short. I loved it.
It was 480 pages.
I was
I read
220
books with
pages.
800 pages.
Hey, hello. I don't know what to do. Can I do something? So I read the end, like the last book of a series, but I started the series before summer vacation. And I'm in the middle of a book right now, but I might not finish it before the due date for the thing. So I think I'm going to do it on the book that I read that was in the series. But you have to do like the plot and stuff, and it's kind of just like a continuation of the other.
Doesn't matter. It's fine. You could do that.
I totally finished my book and I did the recommendation. Like I did it, but I totally finished my book.
Oh, hello. I feel like a lot of people didn't do 2 recommendations.
They didn't. It got too hard.
I did like 7. Mrs. Srour, I did like 7.
Debbie, which book did you say that you read that was so short?
Chirp.
Oh.
It was really good.
That's right.
I liked it a lot. Yeah, because me and Gracie were gonna read it together, but then it was like too much, so we just.
No, I actually liked it. The ending
Yeah,
was
me
like
too. I actually liked it. It was
the
good.
ending
My
was so
book had a plot
satisfying.
twist. It was not normal.
Yeah,
I
Grace,
was
I agree.
upset.
The ending was like a good ending. That was like one of the first books that I ever read that had a
Yeah,
good ending.
it was like a really like good ending.
like it satisfied me after all the tension and drama.
Was it about birds? Was it about birds and the birds?
Chirp
No,
isn't about birds. It's about crickets.
It's about this girl
Ew,
who's
I'm
like,
never reading that ever.
no. It's about this girl who's trying to save her grandma's like business
Cricket
of
farm.
a cricket
I don't
farm.
like realistic fiction. Do not tell me about it. Sorry.
Oh,
No,
really?
it's good.
It's about crickets. I don't know.
It's not about
Crickets.
crickets.
It's not about cricket.
It's not
It's
about crickets.
It's
It
about
just chirp
saving
is
her
the word here.
farm and like because there's someone
I
like
really don't wanna
sabotaging
read
it.
It's kind of like mystery.
rising.
It's kind of like a
Yeah,
mystery.
it's mystery because like she's also sabotaging her thingy and
But
everything.
Gracie, I felt so bad for her about like that gymnastics coach guy. I felt so bad.
Oh, why not?
So
Honey.
sad. I'm like, oh, has he
So Danielle, she's like almost done with her book and she hates it, and now she's not even gonna finish and she's starting a new book
No,
now.
she had like 140 pages. She emailed me.
Like, hello.
I
I'm reading
know.
the first page, but my mom's not to read it because she didn't like it. But my brothers did it, and sometimes I like books that my mom doesn't like because she doesn't like it when people die. So I'm probably just guessing that someone dies. That
Which
she,
book?
Amy?
the fifth
No,
wave.
people
Your
need to
dad's
die.
like
else
always
like,
in my
no.
house.
Amy, it's a tough one. The first one was good, but it's the other ones I hated. I hated the rest of the series as usual.
So I think I might just read the first book. Either way, I don't have the rest.
You're not gonna be able to not read the rest. Like, but it's very disturbing. I'm not surprised. It is. It's very. It's disturbing. Read it.
I know they used to tell me that.
We better read good books next year, or I am going to scream.
We're not
No.
We have like The Giver, which is good, and then that's it.
I'm not gonna lie. I don't like class books ever. Like ever.
Same.
None. Except for The City of Ember, and that wasn't even that
You
good.
like The City of Ember? Oh my god.
I liked rules because I could relate to it.
I hated Rules. I hated all the books. City of Ember,
I
I read
hate
it.
all
don't
the books. Please
it.
don't.
I
make me
love
like
City of Ember.
Verizon.
Don't ask why. I just loved it.
Rules was horrible.
That's why. It's just-
And Mrs. Srour, I kind of liked Red Kayak. It wasn't the
Did you,
best.
Matt, did you read Match Stepping in the end or no?
Did I read what?
Mash.
I never finished it.
Oh, I love it.
Okay, I am
I
not gonna
loved it.
lie.
I
When I
can't-
told,
It turned to summer and I couldn't just.
Oh, I loved it.
Summer. Plus, I actually have camp, so like it's different.
What were you
I
saying?
okay,
really
so you know, and like everyone's like, oh yeah, we read Esperanza Rising. I'm like, I remember the cover.
Oh, that's it. You
I
know.
don't even remember the book. Everyone's lying. They don't actually remember it. They remember
I
the
remember
line.
it.
And also, you would have seen it with a different like
Cornfield.
picture older now.
There's
Honey,
something in
I'm
the
the one who told everybody we read this in 4th grade. How could I not remember?
Your dad goes missing.
No,
and
but you
I
don't
just
actually like, remember
remember
the whole entire thing.
no one listens in class books. They're so
No
stupid.
one
You should
listens.
never do it
Like,
ever. No one listens.
wait. Could you just tell me if I have any of the things right?
Like
There's
I have no idea what happened in that whale book.
Why? It was so nice. I love that.
something-
No, I listened.
just
I
fall
honestly
asleep.
listened to that book. I liked it.
So
I
good.
listened,
I
but I
just
didn't
thought-
like it. I listened. I just did not like it.
I would never
I
read
like
it.
All I know is it's about a girl that needs to find a whale because she's deaf.
Okay, I thought it was.
Wow, Rebecca, very straightforward.
It was
Yes,
very
that's all I know.
like
It was
very
like deep,
detailed.
but it was
Like
actually deep. It was like
Mrs. Srour, I miss school.
I don't.
I miss
I
school.
love school. It's my favorite thing in the world.
Me too. I like school
I'm
better
gonna
than dance.
remind you that
all
you
in
said
September.
that.
Naomi, are you in Barkai?
No, she's in YDE
Um,
and she loves reading.
Why do you
I
know all
learned
this,
so much.
Gracie?
Cause I'm the best.
all right, girl. Should we log off?
No, I'm having fun.
Well, next week it's gonna be Erev Tisha B'Av, right?
Oh no.
So next Wednesday night.
It's my first fast in my life.
You're gonna be okay. Don't worry.
You were supposed to fast last
Devin, you
night.
didn't fast the last fast?
So wet
I
girl. So,
I
did.
don't have to.
Why
I
not?
Why
it really
not?
My
that
aunt
bad.
said I didn't have to, so I didn't. And no, she told me like 10 weeks before, and then I forgot that it was a fast, so I didn't fast.
okay, girl. So next week we're not gonna do it. Everyone's gonna be eating and whatever before.
Next week is
Thanksgiving.
Tisha B'Av.
I don't know if I'm giving a class on Tisha B'Av. I'm gonna see maybe whatever.
I'm so excited. Let
Flying
me
right
tell
now.
you about it. You know, the one time that I'm fasting, I have to wake up at 7 in the
If
morning.
not, I will see you all. Either I'll reschedule it for another day, or I'll just see you all in 2 weeks.
Is that not mean though?
Wow.
I wake up at 9 or 9:30 every day, but the one day that I'm fasting, I have to wake up at 7 o'clock.
So take a nap.
I'm praying every
I
single
gotta
day.
be at work.
Amida, that I wake up at like 12 o'clock on the fast. Yeah.
You're gonna be fine. You'll rest in bed. Don't do anything crazy.
No,
I'm not gonna be fine. I need
The
my
last
breakfast.
fast was torture.
Oh my god. I was like,
And so
I
slowly
felt,
store until like 9 o'clock.
I
I
know.
felt
And I'm
terrible.
the biggest night snacker. I always snack in the night.
So stay up at night and eat in the night and go to sleep at like 6.
No,
can't
Shabbat
eat at the
starts at
night.
night.
It starts at
What?
9.
Oh no, really? I thought it started at like 7 in the
No,
morning.
it starts Wednesday night,
What time?
like 8:30, something like that.
Yeah, so you
That's
eat dinner, like you
so
have like
Dinner,
the feast,
Or we're in
and
morning.
then like,
That's
you
very
drink
early.
so much water, and then you're just still thirsty.
Oh my god, Naomi, you don't have to fast,
Lucky?
right? I'm pretty sure.
Joe, you
Denise is so lucky. Can I tell you
Leslie's
that?
so lucky.
want to
Denise and Leslie, they're so lucky. Okay, wait.
come here? They
The
can't.
next fest isn't Yom Kippur.
Joe!
No.
No, come say hi.
Joe!
Hello, Joe.
Why are they
Come here and say hi, and then you'll get the piggies. Come.
Joe, come here.
Joe, it's Gracie. I know you
Like
miss
English
me.
birds.
And me.
I know you
Joe,
miss
can I
me,
play
Joe.
Angry Bird with
I
you?
said hi to him in the pool and he was just like ignoring me. He was like,
Guys, my bangs are getting so long. Be proud. Be proud of it.
You and your bangs.
my hair is getting
Like
so
my
long.
beautiful lights. Ready? This is gonna be
No, Amy's hair is so long.
Amy,
It
you
is
gotta
Oh
go.
my god.
Out of
Amy has like the longest hair. She can donate it like 2 times.
I can't. 8 inches.
Girls, let me
That's
go put my kids to sleep. Let's be in
Oh, they're not
touch. and-
sleeping yet? Leah's not sleeping?
Oh, he's sleepy. I'm saying let me go put Joe to sleep. He's still sitting.
Good night, Joe.
Joe, say good night.
Good night, Joe.
He doesn't-
Bye.
All right, bye, girls.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye, people.
bye.